everyone, how are you guys doing? Today is an exciting day because I'm getting started with a new series of videos where I'm going to give a feedback on your user-centric research project or anything of that sort, because I feel like at the moment on the social media space there is a lack of a critical or let's say analytical feedback on different UX projects. There is a lot of portfolio review videos, however there is not much of a feedback on the actual real live projects. So that's why I decided to start this series, and I would like to start with the biggest problem that I'm seeing right now receiving different links from you guys. So the biggest problem is that you sometimes just send me a link and say, hey, give me a feedback, which is ridiculous on my point of view, because I'm a UX designer, I'm not a UI designer, I'm not a web designer, so I'm not going to criticize the way it looks, the way you develop these beautiful interactions on the web space. I'm usually looking at the context, I'm usually looking at the story about your project development process, what were your thinking behind this solution, what was your process, how did this UX research help you to form these kind of concepts. So that's what I'm usually looking, and usually when you just send me the link and say, hey, here's my portfolio, give me a review, I'm not gonna give you a review because I need to know the context, otherwise I'm kind of helpless or useless, and I can only give you a subjective kind of taste review, which is really not so useful, right? So today I'm excited to get started with a series because I got an email from the guy called Kiran, I hope, and this guy is studying in UK and he's at the moment doing his UX project, and he wanted me to review his presentation, the PDF which highlights the process behind his solution, and I'm really excited to check it out, especially because it's in the topic called loneliness, and I've been in his place. I was studying in Estonia. It's a cold place where it's kind of Nordic mentality where people are kind of restricted, and with my team in my university we also have this kind of project, and we've developed a project called Blinky. We were looking for innovative solutions and product design in order to help people who are coming from different countries to kind of overcome the loneliness, connect with like-minded people, and so on. So I can relate to this topic very much, and I'm looking forward to review his slides and see if I can give some kind of critical feedback on it. Now let's get started with the case portfolio review. Alright, so first of all, let me just start by setting the expectations and telling you what do I expect when I see anybody's case study or any sort of a user research. So first of all, this is a presentation, so I am a viewer and I want to kind of see a movie or a story. So first of all, I want to see what was the story, what happened to you on the way, what part of this or another research studies or insights help you to form this solution. For me, it's very important to kind of see the beginning, the obstacles, and the solution, and I want it to be very, very logical. So everything that you're saying, every part of the insight from the user research bringing us to this solution. So it's like from a huge amount of information, I want to see how did you come to this solution, and it's your task as a designer to make sure that everything makes sense and all the puzzles are sticking together. Cool, now let's get started with this presentation, and obviously as we can see, it's called Unity. I like how it looks from the first sight. The only thing I'm missing here, it would be great if you could already let me know what to expect, what kind of solution it is. Is it at least in some industry, at least some field of the study, so I could at least form my first image or the basic understanding about what is this project for, right? Now, let's get started with the slides. Background. So background must be your starting point, I assume. So the starting point for you was an online survey conducted by BBC Loneliness Experiment Research, which is a cool starting point, I believe. Problem, feeling of discrimination. So this looks like some kind of explanation to the problem, and I like it because we are all now, while reading it, we understand, okay, that's the scope of a problem. People are different, and somebody is criticizing in a negative way the other people, which is very, very cool. And now me, as a viewer, can understand more precisely what we're dealing with. That's cool. Okay, 5 things people say loneliness is. Nobody to talk, feeling disconnected, left out, sadness, not feeling understood. That's pretty cool, but I would like to see some sort of resource, since it's a beautifully designed slide, but I kind of, this is a research, right? So it's kind of your secondary research. You must have analyzed some source data, right? You mentioned already the research, but I would like to kind of have really a proof that you did this research. At this point, it would be great for me to learn a little bit more about the source, where this data is coming from, more specifically how big is the problem, and even if you have can bring me some graphs, would be really, really great, so I can kind of see really where it's coming from. 5 things people look for in a friend. That's also pretty cool. Trust, understanding, support. Again, it would be great if you would mention to me the resource here and show me some graph, data graph, where I will see how many people told you so, why they're telling you, some kind of context to this data research would be really nice. Okay, statistics. The UK is the most popular destination. That's cool. That's cool information. I assume that those circles is how big isolation feeling for these people coming from these countries are if they're coming to UK. I don't understand why do we have this circle in UK, because it seems like people from UK do not understand other people from UK, right? Am I correct? Another confusion I have in this slide is the color coding. So I don't understand why do we have different colors, why something is yellow, something is orange, something is blue. Like, do we differentiate them? It's nice in terms of design, but at this point I want to make sense of data. I want to understand what data you were basing your solution or problem from, and for me it's important to be very, very precisely. And when I see this orange or this yellow, I kind of think that this must be Asia or Europe, but then I don't see this as Asia or Europe. It would be great if you could connect the circles to the color coding, or at least give some abbreviation to the people to make sense of these colors and the circles sizes. Okay, now moving on. Now design aim. I guess it's better to call this slide something like design project or design goals, design project goals, something like that. Design solution for isolated design a solution for isolated students to share their feelings anonymously. Where is this anonymously coming from? I don't understand yet. Maybe we will see the answer to it later. By the way, I would say that it's more relevant to say what are your design goals in the, let's say, design brief part. So after you do all this user research, after you understand the whole scope of the problem, not just one source, let's say secondary research from this research paper, but to rather form your goals when you already talk to the people, did all of your primary research studies, and then you can understand really the scope of a problem and kind of form the real goals in the form of a brief. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Design process, that's cool. Well, I think that's a pretty classic process. Emphasize, define, ideate, prototype, test. Nothing else to add here. Anyway, online survey. Actually, it would be great if you would have some kind of title explaining that right now we're getting started with the research, because otherwise it's kind of abrupt transition to online survey. But anyway, let's see. In the online survey, what's important for me is to understand the insights. I don't want to see just the numbers. I mean, it's cool to see the numbers, but for me it's also important to understand how these numbers help me to move on. What are the insights you made from these numbers? And what I see at the first sight is just about what you get. It's basically the copy-paste from the Google survey, right? Origin, place, age bracket, ethnicity. Why do we have twice ethnicity? I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something, but it seems like the same thing. I guess it's just some kind of random mistake. Make sure you fix it, because people don't like these kind of mistakes. So we have people coming from abroad, from Asia and Europe. I assume that you did this online survey among your peers, somewhere in the online forums where all the students from your campus are studying. It would be great if you specify really the more behind the scene of this survey. So how many people were interviewed, how many answers you get, where did you send this survey to, like who was the actual answerer, who was the actual respondent of the survey. And so it will help me just a little bit more to connect the dots. Age bracket, what? You have age bracket 45-54 among your students? This means, I assume that this makes me think that you didn't send this survey to your college peers. Rather, you sent it somewhere, let's say online in the Facebook group with absolutely different range of people. So for me, it's very important here again to explain me where you send this survey. And 24, 20, what? 24, 20. 24, 25. Again, some kind of typo or mistake here. Please try to make sure you really, if you're doing this beautiful custom design, make sure you check all the details, because otherwise the viewer thinks that you're not making sense, you're not consequent, and it's a kind of logic is broken, since I have to try to make my additional thinking. And again, what is this information given to me? What is the connection between Asia, Europe, and age range and ethnicity? Like, do we get some insights from this information? And in general, every time you're doing the online survey, it's important to understand what goals do you set for this survey. One of the most common mistakes everybody is doing it in the beginning is when you're trying to ask people random questions, but you don't understand where those questions or answers are leading you. Like when you're doing a survey, you have to already do the secondary research, so basically reading online different sources of information, forums, different reports, and try to like build some assumptions or hypotheses. And you really have to have this hypothesis written down on the paper so that you can verify this hypothesis in the survey. And when you're coming to the survey, you know exactly what you're trying to verify or kind of break the assumption. And at this point, I don't understand what was your goals to the survey. I just see some random numbers of people hopefully studying in your campus. But when I see again this 45, 54, I don't assume anymore that it was made among your peers. So yeah, I got a bit confused in this slide. Online survey, okay. So here is more behavioral patterns, social media app usage. Again, just because I saw that the respondents were even from 45 plus age, I don't understand how much it's relevant to them. For example, maybe I am a 45 plus person and most probably I'm using Facebook, and in this case, all this data is not very relevant. I guess like what I would expect you to do at this point is to kind of segment for me the insights. So when you realized that people from Asia, mostly in this age bracket, have more or less this social media app habits, and this is their interest and all other things, it would be great for me because I would immediately start kind of specifying our target user. Because your goal, I guess, at this point to design for somebody particular, somebody in your mind who you understand very, very well, and it couldn't be people from all this age, right? You have to have maximum 2 groups of people, but not like 4, I guess, or something here. I don't know. Anyway, it would be great to have these more specific groups, or at least to understand where is this information are bringing us. Again, what are your interests? It's not very specific to me because I can see already this is like very proportional interest rates segmentation, and that's expectable because I guess most of us millennials are, yeah, in fact interested in education, watching movies. So what is this information given to you? Again, I didn't get it very clearly. Do you like joining clubs? That's a good information piece. Get connected with the students. Do you feel lonely? So these 3 make sense to me. However, again, I would like to specify already. I would not just like to give you numbers. Numbers would be great somewhere in a corner, but for me, it's more important to see the insights that you withdrew by segments of people, and on whom do you want to focus to just simplify the work for me as a viewer. Contextual map. I assume this was made from your brainstorming, right? So you probably sit and on the paper write down all everything that you think is the problem for the users, for the people, or did you get this these answers from somebody specific, for some people you already talked to? It would be also great if you specify what is the circle stands for. Because I see a list of different things, which is cool. I see that you went very thoughtfully, but I don't understand why do we have the separation between circles. Seems like this is the feelings and this is the solutions, right? I hope I understand it. Would be great if you give me more hints in this slide. And maybe I would be happy if you would give me some sort of affiliate diagramming, so I understand what were the patterns of these problems. So like, here is this niche of problems, here is this cloud of problems, another cloud of problems, and here's where we think that for these people it's better to focus. Because again, at this point, I see the main problem for these slides is just that you are just giving me all this information that shows me that you did your job, and it's great. But as a viewer, I want to see what you've learned. And these all pieces of information, it's a great proof that you did it, but I still don't understand how is it connected to coming up to the solution. Okay, analyzes personas. Extrovert, ambivert, introvert. Did you already make a couple of user interviews at this point? I didn't get it yet because, so you missed this part. If you did this user interviews, how many of them you did? And if yes, then I will assume this is the answers you got. Yeah, it would be great if you would let me know already if you did these interviews. Otherwise, I would think like, yeah, I could write this by default. Like that would be my first thinking. Okay, we have extroverts, introverts, and ambiverts. And now I wonder, who do we pick to work with? Well, assumptionally, I think you would pick to work with introverts, right? Okay, personas. So yeah, we have this is extrovert, this is extrovert. Okay, first persona. We have 3 personas. Well, you know what? This is a lot, and these are very different personas. And usually, it would be great if you would do, if you would understand what are the groups of the people and on whom do you focus. So if this would be the groups, and if you would decide, let's focus on this person, type of a person, it would be enough for me to see this only one particular persona, because persona is about really going into details. And if this is not the people we're designing it for, why do I have to see all these details, right? Yeah, I mean, this looks pretty good, decent, but I would assume you're focusing on the introverts because this seems to be the biggest problem for them. And for some reason, we are seeing this persona canva only on the last priority. So if this is the 3rd priority, I would be confused. I'm kind of reserved and I usually listen people. This is cool. I really hope this was a real data that you did from the user research and you talked to a couple of people. Looking for a platforms that help me friends. Okay. Share her feelings anonymously to help share her feelings anonymously to someone who wouldn't judge her. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Empathy maps. So you seems to now I can see that you picked this persona to be your target, right? That's great. I was right. Empathy maps. This one I really like because it means that you really talk to the people, and you have these all different opinions and feels. Thinks, says, does. Cool. Here are the pains, lack of information, opportunities, provide helpline, more optimal way to add other students to a social network, and app that can bring a culture of openness. Well, those are kind of controversial, right? Because here you say you want to put people with the same interest in one group, and here you're saying that you want to have people from different interest groups be open and talk to each other where there's usually conflict. So where do we focus, right? That's just the first thing I have in my mind. Anyway, frustrated. Yeah, I like all of these things. But again, it looks to me that you did your homework, but as a viewer, I still don't understand what are your main lessons from this lesson, from this method that you did. Would be great if on this slide you would have some kind of, the next slide would be some kind of black, half blurred same image with on top of it some kind of extra sticky notes where you're saying that here's what we're gonna focus on, here's the main pain point, here's the main thought, here's the main thing that she does, and we want to kind of change this routine. Would be great because it will simplify my understanding of your project, right? So think further for your viewer. Otherwise, everything is great. I see that you did a great job already. Journey map, I also really like it. It means that you cared a lot. Geocaric, but I don't understand why you put it here or here if we already have this context information already here. So I already understood who is this girl, Gia K, and I don't need to see it extra time. So for me, it would be greater if I would have this full size. And again, I want to see where in this whole customer journey you want to focus. Because again, it's great that you divided this journey into different parts: admission, decision, preparation, arriving to hostel, arriving at campus, life at campus. But again, this is different parts, right? And I would like to see where do you think it's better for us to focus to proceed with the project. And I assume, just based on the lows of this person, there's gonna be this part, life at campus. Again, this is my assumption. That's why I would like you to have some kind of extra, not explanation, but maybe the focus area on top of this map, so I know which part of it you're solving. Because I see that there are a lot of low points here, and it makes sense for me to start from here. Administration, touch point, but everything is great. Ability to provide helpline anonymous. So that's the thing. You see, at the beginning you said that your goals for this project is to build maybe something anonymous for people who feel introverted, and that means, as a viewer, at the beginning you already gave me the answers, and only after giving me answers you started to put me through this journey, which makes sense for me to start with building this journey and bringing us to this conclusion, rather than giving us, here is what we were going to work for, and here is just like some backup points to back up these decisions or goals. So I guess it makes more sense at the end, as I said in the beginning. Here is a competitor analysis. This is great. You know what? It's great that you have this. It's kind of like this thing that you usually have on the websites. But what is the market positioning? You know, this market table where we can see there's two axes with different products and different quadrants. If it would be great to see where do you want to put this product, which particular market space you want to occupy. Otherwise, I'm just seeing some comparison of the features. Features is not the most important thing. For me, in this project, you need to really solve this big problem, find a way to solve this opportunity, and position on the market relevantly, right? And I don't see where do you want to position if this space is occupied and you're gonna have to compete with somebody, or you're just comparing the features and you want to build new features in this solution. So yeah, would be great if you think a little bit more general. Branding, why do we need to have a branding here? Huh? Really? Upflow? Oh wow, okay, here is the problem. I hope you don't think I'm too criticizing. I'm just trying to comment everything I'm seeing right here. So first thing first, branding comes at the very end, when you already understood really what you're trying to solve, what is the product, how is it going to connect with the users. And for me, it's not the right place to start with branding. However, I'm missing here a huge important slide. So you did all of this research, and now it's time for you to close this research. Time for you to put this brief telling, here is what we realized from other user research, here is what on whom we are going to focus, here is the customer journey part we are going to develop solution for, here are these main ideas we are going to consider opportunities for, and here is our market space we want to take, right? So at this point I will already understand where is your general positioning and what is the thing you're trying to solve exactly. And from this point, that would be an opportunity for you to explore the ideas, not the features. Because I'm seeing on this slide that you went into the features immediately, right? Because like I can see what the user has to do, but why? Because first of all, I need to have this cloud of ideas where you're thinking, what are the other way to solve existing problem? Because we understood that on the market we have some kind of forum, some connection app, and some networking app. Great, but what do you want to build then? Do you want to build the forum? Do you want to build the connection app or the networking app? Are there other ways to connect people, more maybe intrinsic or creative way to connect people? I kind of really missing the huge part of it here, because I don't understand how did you come up with this solution. And immediately I see that you're trying to think about the user flow, right? Sign up, verify, well, that's a classic thing, so I'm not gonna comment here. Join the group, chatting groups, contact helpline, ask a question. Personality match. By the way, how is the personality match happens? Just because you join the group? Is it automatic?
Contact helpline. Ask. So how this magic of personality match happens? I don't see here. Do I have to do some? Oh, by the way, another thing I kind of got confused here is again this color coding. So usually when I have checked the app flows, not the app flow, just the flow charts, every form or shape of the figure and the color should correspond to some action. Is the top? Is it some kind of onboarding? Is it a click? Is it some kind of extra interaction? So it would be great if you would specify what are these steps more into this visual organized way. Otherwise, I'm just seeing a bunch of different colors and forms. And why do we have to have all these colors? I get confused a little bit. But if I read, I try to make sense. Choose to be anonymous. Well, so seems like you already made up your mind and you didn't want to explore other cool ideas potentially, and you decided to jump immediately into app creation. All right. Paper sketches. Uni email personality test. Okay, so here is this part that I mentioned. Like in the previous slide, I said there is some magic has to happen to make the personality match. Only on the next screen I can see that you wanted to make this match in some sort of a survey, right? So like I have to answer some questions in order to classify my personality. Okay, personality matched. 80-70. Okay, explore trending what? Trend. Is it the groups, right? It's groups, I guess. Okay, explore trending groups. Dynamic. Okay. Well, I'm not going to comment here because I would need to see the whole prototype and play around with this. Okay. Some wireframe. Again, like, why do we have these colorful arrows? Is there some abbreviation or explanation to specification to me to help me understand why do we have pink and yellow and blue arrows around? It's kind of confusing to me. Okay. Explore trending, London trip, okay. Well, nothing extra to add, I would have to play around with this, but seems okay. You know what, when you have this flowchart, it would be great for like to put the viewer of this presentation into the user's shoes. So kind of have some kind of description saying that I am this J tenor and I am feeling lonely and I want to find like-minded people right now, so that's why I downloaded this app and I started to look for circles. So in this way I would understand the thinking process and the expectations of this person. Anyway, this seems to be not the full cycle, right? But more or less clear the idea. Here, that's supposed to be the prototype here. And the next steps, design, refinement. Okay, cool. This is it. Okay, references, and that's thank you. Well, that's a pretty cool and extensive research study, I would say.
And I have to say that I really like it. I like that you did all your homework, but I would really work out some details. So first of all, the logic of the presentation. I don't want the viewer to like have this image that you already made up your mind in the beginning of your research. So again, put the project goals after you did the research, so this whole story builds up logically and the viewer kind of makes sense. Otherwise you're already having the solution and then everything you did after kind of just made up in order to fit this your assumption that you have at the beginning. Second suggestion, try to make sure you kind of if you have all these beautiful colors and custom design presentation, really try to simplify the colors, the arrows, pay attention to the text and double text. Sometimes the way you copy paste text just like a little bit broken, so pay attention to the details. Another point is try to back up your search data, like give more resources about where did you get this data from, some graphs. So like, and again, specify what this data gives you, what insights it brings to you. So only the 3 points I would suggest to you for you to improve. Otherwise, I really like that you did your homework. I like how elaborated and specific you went into many different things, but try to think a little bit more about the viewer of this presentation and just try to simplify it for your viewer so this whole story makes sense to him. Alright, now I hope this was a helpful case study review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have your case study you want me to review, don't forget to send it to me to my email. I will most probably try to review it in the next weeks. Otherwise, great work in general. Congrats, kudos, and hope you continue developing this project. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching us through, and I'll see you on the next video. Ciao!